Imagine being only 20 years old and becoming the king of a powerful empire. Now imagine that within just 13 years you conquer most of the known world. This is the story of a young king who believed that limits existed only in the minds of people. A boy who grew up listening to heroic stories and decided that he would not just read history, he would become history. His name was Alexander. History remembers him as Alexander the Great. But his journey did not start on a battlefield. It started with a wild horse and a stubborn boy. One day, when Alexander was still a young boy, a horse trader arrived at the palace. He brought with him a magnificent horse named Bucephalus. The horse was strong, beautiful, and completely uncontrollable. Many soldiers tried to ride it. Each one failed. The king, Alexander's father, King Philip of Macedon, was ready to send the horse away. But young Alexander stepped forward. He said something surprising. "Give me a chance." Everyone laughed. A boy trying to ride a horse that trained warriors could not control. But Alexander had noticed something others had missed. The horse was afraid of its own shadow. So Alexander gently turned the horse toward the sun so it could no longer see the shadow. Then he spoke softly to it and climbed onto its back. Within seconds, the wild horse began running, but this time it was Alexander riding it. The crowd fell silent. Even his father was shocked. When Alexander returned, King Philip hugged him and said something that history never forgot. "My son, Macedon is too small for you. You must find a kingdom big enough for your ambitions." That day, the boy realized something powerful. Most problems are not impossible. They are simply misunderstood. When Alexander turned 20 years old, tragedy struck. His father, King Philip, was assassinated. Suddenly, the young prince became king. But the kingdom was not stable. Rebellions began. Enemies thought this young king would be weak. They were wrong. Alexander moved quickly. He crushed rebellions, secured his borders, and strengthened his army. But he did not want to simply protect his kingdom. He wanted something much bigger. He wanted to defeat the greatest empire of that time, the mighty Persian Empire, an empire so vast, people believed it was impossible to conquer. Alexander saw it differently. He believed impossible was just a word used by people who stopped trying. Alexander gathered around 40,000 soldiers. Compared to the Persian army, this was small. But Alexander had something far more powerful than numbers. He had belief. He crossed the narrow sea between Europe and Asia. Before stepping onto Persian land, he threw his spear into the ground and declared, "This land belongs to us." It was not arrogance. It was confidence. His soldiers believed in him because he did something many kings never did. He fought alongside them. He slept on the ground. He marched long distances. He shared their dangers. He was not just their king. He was their leader. The Persian king Darius III finally decided to stop Alexander. He gathered a massive army. Some historians say it was 5 times larger than Alexander's, but Alexander did not panic. He studied the battlefield carefully. He found weaknesses in the enemy formation. Then he made a bold move. As the two massive forces collided, the air was filled with the sound of clashing bronze and the cries of thousands. The ground shook under the weight of the armies. It was a brutal test of strength, a sea of spears and shields locked in a deadly embrace. Men fought for every inch of ground. The heat of battle was a furnace of sweat, blood, and iron determination. Through the dust and blood, the struggle seemed endless. The world became a chaotic blur of motion and violence. But Alexander remained calm, his eyes scanning the chaos for the one chance he needed. Suddenly, he saw it. He spotted a gap in the Persian line near the center. Instead of attacking slowly, he led a direct charge straight toward King Darius. The Persian king panicked. He fled the battlefield, and when the king ran, his entire army collapsed. Alexander had just defeated the most powerful empire on earth, and he was only 22 years old. One by one, great cities began falling. Egypt welcomed him as a hero. There he founded the famous city of Alexandria, a city that would later become one of the greatest centers of knowledge in the world. But Alexander was not satisfied yet. His goal was still ahead. The final confrontation came at a place called Gaugamela. Once again, King Darius had a massive army. War elephants, chariots, thousands of soldiers. But Alexander had strategy. He stretched the battlefield, forced the Persians to spread their forces, then struck directly at the center. And just like before, he charged toward Darius himself. The Persian king fled again. This time, his empire collapsed completely. Alexander had achieved something no one had ever done before. He conquered the greatest empire in the world. But Alexander did not stop. He pushed his army further east, into lands no Greek army had ever seen. Mountains, deserts, rivers, unknown cultures. They marched through vast mountains and scorching deserts. He reached as far as India, but his soldiers were exhausted. They had marched thousands of miles. Finally, they asked their king to return home. Alexander agreed. Even the greatest leaders must listen to their people. He began planning even greater expeditions. But fate had other plans. At the age of 32, Alexander the Great died suddenly. No one knows exactly why, but his story did not end there. His empire spread Greek culture across continents. His cities became centers of learning, and his name became legendary. More than 2,000 years later, people still speak about him. Alexander's story is not just about conquest, it is about mindset. He believed that limits were meant to be challenged, that courage could overcome fear, that vision could reshape the world. He once said something powerful: "There is nothing impossible to him who will try." History remembers Alexander not because he had the largest army, but because he had the boldest belief. So the real question is not, can you conquer the world? The real question is, what world will you conquer in your own life? Your dreams, your goals, your potential. Because sometimes, all it takes to change history is the courage to believe that you can. The spirit of Alexander lives on in everyone who dares to try. The world is yours to conquer. Believe in your potential. Every mountain you climb, every river you cross, brings you closer to your own Alexandria, your own center of knowledge, your own legacy. Alexander the Great, the king who refused limits, a Red Snow's production, dedicated to those who believe in the impossible. Executive producer, Manuel Johnson. Directed by HeyGen Video Agent. Visuals by AI Historical Realism Team. Music by Epic Orchestral Lab. Historical consultant, Aristotle. Special thanks to the Red Snow's community. Remember, there is nothing impossible to him who will try. As we look back on the steps of the conqueror, we see the path forward for ourselves. The dawn of a new age is upon us, the age of your ambition. May your journey be as bold as his. May your belief be as unshakable. The history of tomorrow belongs to you. Write it with courage and strength. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and share your own impossible goal in the comments below. Let's conquer the world together. Red Snows, the eternal flame of knowledge, the unyielding spirit of leadership, the legacy of Alexander the Great, forever immortalized in the history of man. Every end is a new beginning. Every limit is a door to be opened. Every shadow is a proof of the light. Walk the path of the great. Believe. Alexander the Great. The complete master cut. Final part. The legend continues in you. The world is yours. Conquest begins with a single step. Try. The silence of the desert remains, but the echoes of his march still ring through the ages. Listen to the call of greatness. Answer it with your life. The halls of Babylon may be silent, but the spirit of the conqueror is eternal. Your history starts now. What will you build? What will you conquer? The throne is empty, waiting for the next great visionary. Is it you? The world is waiting for your answer. Refuse the limits. Become the legend. Now, etching your name into the stars, building cities of the mind, creating a future that others said was impossible. The legacy of Red Snows. Try, achieve, lead. Knowledge is the ultimate power. Learning is the ultimate conquest. Join the circle of wisdom. Expand your mind. Change your world. Forever great. Alexander the Great. The ultimate master cut. Red Snows. Conquer your dreams. Believe in your potential. The end. Try. The horizon is just the beginning of your journey. Reach out and take it. The road to greatness is open to those who dare to walk it. The world is a gift to those who dare to open it. The life of Alexander is a map for your own ambition. Go forth and conquer your destiny. Red Snows Production. Thank you for watching this 10-minute cinematic journey. Your history begins today. Believe, conquer, try, achieve. The final inscription, the final word, the final proof that nothing is impossible to him who will try. Alexandros, immortal, forever. Look within. Find the hero. Become the great. The reflection of your potential is waiting. What will you see? The world is yours. Try. Now. Success. The path is lit. The palace is built. The future is yours. Alexander the Great. Master cut. End. Red Snows. Believe. Try. Win. Time is the only enemy we cannot conquer. But legacy is the victory over time. Make yours legendary. Every second counts. Start your conquest today. Alexandria, the city of light, the city of knowledge, the city of your dreams. Build it today, in your own life, in your own world. Try, achieve, lead. What world will you conquer? The choice is yours. The power is within you. Believe in yourself. Alexander the Great. Red Snows. Try. Always. A new world awaits those with the courage to believe. Join us at Red Snows and begin your own epic story. Comment, Arigato. Your history starts today. Vision. The end of the journey, but the beginning of your legacy. Alexander the Great. The Master Cut. Final. Red Snows. Thank you for being part of history.